We're live. I'm gonna write 1 second. My brother was calling. Okay, I'm gonna go. Can y'all hear us? And we'll see how many people are in the show. No one's doesn't see anyone's in right now, but I'm also streaming on so YouTube, Rumble, Odyssey, BitChute. I'm pretty much streaming everywhere, and so on. I'll just leave it at that. All right. So so there's 4 people now in the show. I'm just asking them if they can hear us, and this should be fine. And then one issue I'll always have is with echo when I play videos. I think I figured that out. Anyways, so I'm gonna send these links to the chat. So there's 3 people in the show. Okay, there's someone. Rotary Matrix says audio is good. Okay, so we have audio is good. Timothy Sullivan, he's the one that actually contacted you first on my behalf, so he's in the show. All right, guys, we're in the show. I'm gonna send a link to the links and yeah. All right, so yeah, I'll read this out and then we can introduce ourselves here. But actually, first, you want to check if your audio is working. Can you just say testing or hello, Tony? Can you just test your audio? Just say hi to see if the audience can hears you.
Sure. What do I press?
No, just say testing. Just speak. Can you guys hear him? Yeah.
Oh, yeah. All right. Yeah, testing. 1, 2, 3. Testing.
All right. Can you guys hear Tony? And also, how do you pronounce your last name? What was the
Cicoria.
Cicoria? Is that it?
Yes.
Okay. Okay. So Tony Cicoria. All right. Okay. Tammy's in the show. Okay. Can you guys hear Tony? Well. Okay. I'm assuming because the chat's a bit delayed. But there's like a 5-second delay with YouTube for some reason. All right. So anyways, guys, I'm gonna read this out. So MES Livestream 106. Yeah. So Rotary Matrix says yeah, audio is good. Okay, so audio is good. So anyways, so MES Livestream 106. Dr. Tony Cicoria discusses his near-death experience NDE lightning strike. And yeah, so Dr. Tony Cicoria joins the show to discuss getting struck by lightning while standing next to a public telephone in Albany, New York, in 1994. Seeing his own body on the ground while his consciousness floated upwards, surrounded by bluish-white light, and then waking up back in his own body a few minutes later, and a few days later, I think it was like a few weeks. Or you can correct me if I'm wrong. And this is at the age of 42. He had the insatiable desire to listen and learn to play piano music, thus becoming an accidental pianist and composer. All right, so welcome aboard, Tony, and yeah, so I'm Matthew from the Matthew Solutions channel. I'm not sure if you've seen my other videos, and then Timothy Sullivan actually emailed you on my behalf to get you on the show and just see how we can learn from your experience. And yeah, you want to introduce yourself and just say hi to the audience and so on?
Sure. Hi. Hello, everyone. My name is Tony Cicoria. I'm an orthopedic surgeon and a pianist by accident. And I'm grateful to spend this time with you.
Yeah. No, that's great. And yeah, so this thumbnail actually made it from this link right here. So I think this is one of your composing. This is accidental pianist and composer Fantasia opposite one. Is this the cover for one of your music albums or compositions?
Yes.
Or? All right.
Yeah, that's the CD cover from my first concert, and it was recorded. That was recorded in 2008.
Okay. Yes, so 2008, and yes, you got struck in 1994. It's basically yeah, just to get the audience and me up to speed. Can you yeah just summarize or talk about that scenario and because I've had some other notes in here about it, and some of them are actually like that you actually can see auras around people. That was according to Grok AI. But yeah, anyways, if you can just describe or elaborate your experience on it, because it was 1994. You're near a telephone booth, and then was it raining or was it a thunderstorm or how did you do you remember exactly how that
Oh,
event unfolded.
yeah, I remember every millisecond of it.
Holy, okay.
So my wife's family had 5 people who have birthdays in August. And so we would always have a communal birthday party. And so this year in August of 1994, we had rented a pavilion next to Sleepy Hollow Lake
Hmm.
in Athens, New York, which is just below Albany. And I was outside running the barbecue. It started out as a beautiful day. I wasn't paying attention. I had my back to the lake, but apparently an ugly uh, storm had brewed up over the lake, and I didn't realize it. It was in mid-morning, and I was going to go call my mother to check on her because she was not going to be at the party. And I walked around to the front of the building, and there was a payphone attached. And I tried to call her, and I let it ring 5, 6, 7 times, and she did not pick up. And I was just getting ready to hang up the phone, and I was taking the phone from my ear, and I was going to hang it up. And all of a sudden, I saw this big flash of light. It came out of the phone and hit me in the face, and then I heard this loud crack, and I get thrown back like a rag doll. And as I was going backwards, I suddenly had this strange sensation of moving forwards, and it didn't make any sense to me. And I was standing there, I'm at the bottom of the stairs, and the family and everybody's up on the second floor. And as I'm standing there, I'm trying to make sense of this because I know I'd been hit and I know I got through backwards, and but nothing was making any sense. And I look at the phone, and the phone is dangling on the wall. And right then, my mother-in-law, who was at the top of the stairs, starts screaming, and she's running down the stairs right at me. And I thought, geez, what the hell is going on? And as she came down the stairs, she was not looking at me. It was like I didn't exist. She was looking off to her left, and she got down to the bottom of the stairs and she took off to her left right in front of me. And so I turned to follow her, and I went 3 or 4 steps, and all of a sudden I was confronted with my body on the ground. And I walked over to myself, and I'm looking down, and I the first thought that comes to my mind is, oh shit, I'm dead. And I literally had no idea. And I guess I had always thought that when you died, there was some bells or whistles, or there would be some sort of a signal, but there was nothing. And I stood there, and I'm looking at this body, and my mind is racing. And there was a lady and her daughter who were standing behind me waiting to use the phone. And it turns out she was a nurse, and she starts to get down to do CPR. And as I'm watching all this, I can hear everybody and I can see everything, but nobody can see or hear me. And at that point, I realized that my my mind is thinking exactly the way I normally would. And I came to realize very quickly that whoever I am, in I always am. My spirit lives on and never dies. But unfortunately, this carcass that's on the ground um, does not have the same resilience. And so as I stood there, and there wasn't anything I could do, so I thought, I'm going to go check on my family. And I turned around and I walked away, and I started going up the stairs. And as I started to go up the stairs, I see that I'm looking down at the stairs because I don't want to trip and fall on my face. And I see my legs are starting to dissolve. And I thought, whoa, this is really getting strange. And by the time I got to the top of the stairs, I had lost all form and I was just a ball of energy. And instead of going up the stairs, which bent to the left, I just went through the wall. And when I came out on the other side of the wall, I had come out right over the top of my wife's head. And she was sitting there painting children's faces. And I made a specific note to myself of who the kids were and where they were standing and how the furniture was arranged. And all of that would become an important factor later on when we were looking and comparing notes, because there was no way I could have known those things. I had no idea. But my wife said that's exactly the way it was. And so as I passed over her head, I kept going diagonally through the room. And then when I went through the roof and I got to the other side, it was like I had suddenly fallen into a river of pure positive energy. There was this bluish white light shining off to the right, and it was radiating everything. And it was emitting this energy, which was absolute love and absolute peace. There's no other way to describe it. And as I looked at this energy, I could see the energy lines, and that energy was making up everything that I saw out in front of me. And I realized that, oh, this must be the God energy, because it's making up everything. And as I'm standing there looking at all of this and floating in whatever this river was, I realized that this is the greatest thing that could ever happen to anyone, to know that there is something else that exists other than this reality, and that there is something after death, and that the spirit lives on. And I could feel this energy taking me someplace, but I had no idea where I was going. And I didn't care because it was amazing, the feeling that I had. And as I'm going along, I saw a collage of my life. It was like pictures on a wall. And it didn't really have a lot of meaning. It was just kind of, oh, by the way, this was your life. Um, and I kept going. And then I was so excited about where I was going, I didn't know what to do. And then all of a sudden, it was like somebody flipped a switch, and bam, I was back in my body. And I was so angry. I was, screaming in my mind. I'm saying, please, no, no, don't make me go back. I don't want to go back. But it wasn't up to me. And I'm now I'm back in my body, but I'm still unconscious. And I was aware that the lady who was doing CPR had stopped, and she was kneeling against me, but I'm still out because I can't open my eyes. And within a couple of minutes, I was able to open my eyes, and I looked at her, and instead of saying thank you for saving my life, I said something stupid, and I said, it's okay, I'm a doctor. And she just kind of laughed and said, well, you weren't a minute ago. And at that point I thought, okay, I'm just going to shut up because nothing's making any sense. So the police came and the ambulance was called for, and I refused to be transported because I didn't want to go sit in an emergency room for 4 hours. And I knew, based on my own experience working in one that that's the way it was going to be. So I opted to have my family take me home, and I would see my cardiologist and my neurology friends. Um, and I called them, and they would see me as soon as I got there. So, at that point, they both saw me and said, you're alive, and there doesn't seem to be any significant damage. And so it took me about a week to really recover from it because my brain was very, very fuzzy. And I would look at you and I would say, I know you. I know you very well, but damn if I could find your name. And I found that was the one thing that I had the most trouble with was that the names of things and people. And that lasted for about a week, and then it was gone. And it was like I was back to normal. I went back to work, but I was absolutely plagued with, what the hell did this mean? And within the next week, I started to have this insatiable desire to hear classical piano music, which was a big departure for me. I was a kid of the 60s. There was rock and roll. There really wasn't much of anything else. My mother had made me take piano lessons when I was 7 years old for a year, and I hated it, and I didn't want anything to do with it. So I quit um, after that obligatory year, and then I never went back. So now I'm having this overwhelming sense of wanting to hear classical piano, which was really kind of a crazy thing for me. But it didn't stop, and it was such a strong feeling that I actually drove an hour to Albany from where we lived to find a place that had classical CDs. And so I went, and when I went in the store, I was just looking at the different stacks of CDs, and it seemed like this one CD jumped off the shelf right into my hands, and it was Vladimir Ashkenazy playing his favorite Chopin, and he was a famous Russian pianist. And I listened to the music nonstop. I made everybody else listen to it. I could not stop listening. And very quickly, I realized that listening to this music wasn't going to be enough. I wanted to learn how to play it. And that was a problem since I didn't have a piano and I didn't know how to play either. So, but the next day, one of our babysitters came by and said, I'm moving and I have this old upright piano that I love. It was my father's. And I was wondering if I could store it in your house for a year till I get settled. And I thought, well, this is pretty weird. I'm having this in deep desire to learn how to play a piano, and suddenly one appears. And so I went to the store and I bought some books on how to play a piano, and I tried to teach myself. But I also ordered all of the sheet music on the CD, and somehow magically I was going to learn how to play this stuff. And what a joke that was. But I tried, and um, I started trying to teach myself, and this went on for a couple of years. And one day I was trying to learn a piece of music called the Fantasy Impromptu. It's a Chopin favorite, and I could not figure out how to play it because the hands don't line up, and I had no idea that music could be written like that. And I was trying to learn how to play it, and I was banging on the piano, and my daughter's best friend was over, and her mom had just come to pick her up, and she's a classically trained violinist. And she comes in and says, "My God, what are you doing?" And I said, "Well, I'm trying to play this piece of music, but it doesn't make any sense to me because the hands don't line up." And she looked at me and she said, "They're not supposed to." And I said, "Well, why would that be?" And she said, "It's because it's a polyrhythm." And I said, "What's a polyrhythm?" And she said, "I'm not about to try to explain this to you. You need to get a teacher." So at that point, she recommended Sandy McCain, who was the chairman of the Department of Music at Hartwick College, which was one of the colleges in town that I lived in Oneonta, New York. And so I called Sandy and I said, I'm an old guy who wants to learn how to play piano, and would you consider taking me on? And she made me come in for an audition, and we talked about what happened. And she said she would. And then, so now I'm about a month into my near death and out of body experience. And that night I have a dream. And in this dream, it was like an out of body experience. I was actually walking out onto a stage, and I'm walking toward myself. I'm actually at a piano and I'm giving a concert at this auditorium. And as I'm walking out toward myself, I hear the music that I'm playing, and I realize that this is not somebody else's music, this is mine. And I was bewildered by it, but I walked up behind myself and I stood behind where I was sitting, and I was watching and listening. And the the music had a loud crashing ending, and it woke me up out of my sound sleep. And I looked at the clock and it's 3:15 in the morning. And I walked out to that piano and I was trying to plunk out some of the things that I heard, but I had no idea how to play or how to write. So I said, "The hell with this," and I went back to bed. And normally I would get up at 5:30 to get ready for work, which I did. But from that moment on, whenever I went near that piano, the music from the dream would start playing in my head. And it would start playing in my head when I was trying to work. And so I learned very quickly that if I paid attention to the music and worked on it every day, it would not be so intrusive. But if I tried to ignore it, it was like a little 2-year-old was like, "Hey, Daddy, pay attention to me."
Mm-hmm.
And so I started paying attention to the music, and I would try to play little snippets of what I heard, and it was always the same. It played always the same in my head. And as I was learning how to play, and I would, you know, talk to my teacher and say, "I'm hearing this music in my head," and I would play a little snippet of it, and she would say, "Well, this is XYZ, and you'd have to write it in a certain way." And I thought, well, this is kind of crazy, because I had all I could do to just do my work, and I was trying to learn how to play. So I wasn't so interested in writing at that point. And then I started, besides taking the lessons, in 2002, I started going to a piano camp for adults called Sonata. It was in Bennington, Vermont. And this was a very special camp. for people who absolutely possessed with piano, and I was one of them. And I started going to this camp, and each year at the camp you would be required to have learned a piece of music that year and perform it for the group. And so I started doing that. And in 2006, when I went, and I would always go the same month in May, which was just a convenient time for me. And I was talking to the owner's sister was there that year. Her name is Erica Vanderlyn Feidner. Erica was the #1 salesperson at Steinway in New York City, but she was also a concert pianist. And we got talking about the music that I was hearing in my head, and she was really surprised at the level of playing that I was doing for the limited number of years that I had been doing it. And she was fascinated by the story, and she said, you know, this is an incredible story, but there's only one person that can tell this story. And I said, really? Who's that? And she said, Oliver Sacks. And at the time, I didn't know Oliver other than the fact that he wrote the book Awakenings, and he was a famous neurologist in New York City. And so we parted. We parted company because it was the end of the course. And I think it was within the next couple of weeks, I get a phone call from Oliver Sacks. And Oliver says, you know, I have this friend Erica, and she told me about this crazy guy in upstate New York who got struck by lightning and is now having this incredible desire to play piano, and he's hearing music in his head. And he said, I'd like to have you come to New York to be one of my patients because I have a collection of people like you who've had some extraordinary brain injury, and as a result of it have developed abilities that they didn't have before. And so that August of 2006, I got to go to Dr. Sacks's home, and I got to spend the entire day with him, which was one of my most incredible experiences, to be around somebody of his intelligence for a whole day was just an unbelievable experience for me. And we talked about everything, you know, in life and death and brains. And one of the things that happened was at the end of our meeting, we're standing in the door saying good night, and he looks at me and he says, you know, the music from the dream went through an awful lot of trouble to get here. The least you can do is write it. And I was so taken by what he said. As soon as I got home, I said, okay, I'm going to write this. And I had no idea how to write. So I went to a store looking for a music writing program for idiots. And I found this piece called Sibelius, which was a program that if you played on an electric keyboard into the computer program, it would spit it out in black and white on paper. And so I thought, okay, the music is always exactly the same. If I can learn how to play it, then the machine will write it for me. So I spent the next 7 months working every night after I got home from work. I would work until 12 or 1 in the morning trying to write this music. and I would play a section of it, and then I would look at I would have the computer play it back to me, and if it was correct, then I would accept it. If it came out wrong, then I knew that I had written it wrong, and would do whatever correction it took. So it took quite a bit of time to do this. So it was a real arduous 7 months. And at that point, my plan was to play it for my piano group in May of 2007. And I managed to finish the music a couple of weeks before piano camp. And I brought it to my piano camp, and I played that piece of music for my final day's concert, which is what we would always do. And it was well received. And that day, I get a call from Oliver, and Oliver says, "I'd like to use your story in my book called Musicophilia." And I said, I don't have anything to hide, so, you're welcome to use it. He said, "Good, because it's coming out, you're chapter 1, and it's going to be published in the New Yorker magazine July 23rd of this year." And I was like, "Wait a minute." I said, that's going to get a little crazy then. He said, "Nah, it'll be fine." So the day comes along, and in the New Yorker magazine has got my story plastered all over it, and the phone starts ringing off the hook. And one of the first call I got was from a guy named Carlton Clay. Excuse me. And Carlton was a friend of mine, and he was the chairman of music at the State University of New York in Oneonta. And Carlton said, "I'd like you to come and teach a class about your experience." And I thought, well, that would be interesting. And so I said, "Sure, I'll do that." And he called back a week later and said, "Geez, I'm getting an awful lot of phone calls about this. Would you consider playing the music for the class also?" And I said, "Sure, I can do that." And about a month later, he calls back and said, I can't tell you how many calls I'm getting about people interested in this story and this music." And he said, "Would you consider doing a concert at the Performing Arts Center?" And I said, "No." I said, "I don't have the faintest idea how to do that. And I'd be absolutely petrified." And he said, and somehow he talked me into it. And I called my piano teacher, Sandy, and I said, "Sandy, Carlton," she knew Carlton also. And I said, "Carlton has conned me into doing this." And I said, "Do you think it's possible to get me ready for this?" And she said, "Well," she said, "yes, but you're going to have to give me 3 to 4 hours a day to get you ready for this concert." And now this is a couple months away. And so she started, we went down to the Performing Arts Center and every day, and we spent 3 hours. She taught me how to walk up to the piano, how to talk to the audience, how to do everything. And then I had to memorize the music and be able to perform it the best I could possibly do. And so she worked with me nonstop. And then about a couple weeks before the concert, Carlton calls me again and he says, I don't know how to tell you this, he said, but he says, I've got 3 television crews that want to be there for this event. The BBC One, Granada Media, and German Television. And I said, Carlton, I can't do this. This is crazy. And he said, it's a little too late now. And so I said, okay. So, now I'm absolutely terrified. And I'm going to be giving this concert not only to a fully sold out crowd, but on 3 different televisions, which was really an overwhelming experience for me. I remember on the day of the concert, which was I had chosen January 29th because that was my birthday, and I thought, well, this is kind of a nice rebirth. And I remember going to the green room before it, and I was on my knees praying, and I said to God, I said, you've put me in this mess. I said, please don't embarrass us both and let me be there out there by myself. I said, so, I went out and did my concert. I managed to get through it. And it was well received. And from that time on, it really took on a life of its own. The music was, I was asked to play all over the country at different venues, that especially where there were near-death society chapters, and I even got the opportunity to play it at Mozart's home in Vienna.
Yeah, that's a video I have right here. And one question from the audience says, what is your favorite Chopin piece? I think
my favorite Chopin piece.
Oh, Chopin. Yeah, sorry, I pronounced it wrong. Yeah.
That's a tough question. There's so many that I love. Fantasy Impromptu is one of my favorites. A couple of his ballades, and the scherzo, I think it's a B flat minor, are probably my favorite pieces. But there's so much of his stuff that I just am in love with, and I would love to be able to play all of it proficiently, but I still work at that.
That definitely. And I'm gonna play a bit of your video here for the audience to listen to some of your. This is Lightning Sonata. Yeah, so I'm like music illiterate. So you're gonna have to walk me through whatever needs. But I'm gonna play here. Can you hear it fine? Can you hear the audio? Yeah, okay, you can hear it. Can the audience hear this? Here is Tony in 2013. right. Yeah, this is pretty epic stuff there. And how long did it take you to get to this proficiency? Was it
Um,
a few years?
I started taking lessons in 1998,
Mm-hmm.
and that was in 2013 was when I performed this. So it took me, it took me a pretty reasonable
Mm-hmm.
period of time to get um,
Mm-hmm.
to that level. And certainly the concert that I gave, um, it was in 2008. So it took me 10 years um, to get to that level of proficiency,
Oh.
which by in conversations with my other pianist friends is really a small period of time to have reached that level.
Okay. 8 to 10 years. Yeah, that's pretty intense. Yeah, because these guys are like the piano players are absolutely remarkable. And another question is from the same person. He's asking, have you ever played the Beethoven Moonlight Sonata? That's this subscriber's favorite one.
Yes, yeah, that was one of the pieces that I did in my piano concert group. I played all three movements, um, and that's one of my favorite pieces as
Hmm.
well.
Oh, that's great. And I also have some questions. They're more like I'm interested in the actual like in the experience where you had when you said you were walking through walls. And you said when you could see your body, were you when in your astral body, were you wearing the same clothes, or were you the same person, like physically? Or
Um, when I was standing at my body, I actually didn't look at myself, um, but and that's a good question. Um, when I walked away, I don't remember if my clothes were the same or not.
Mhm.
Um, but I remember seeing my legs dissolve.
Okay.
Uh,
And when your legs were you wearing pants? Like, cause I'm just saying, cause if you're in an astral plane, is it just normal? Like you were actually wearing clothes just to in the when you were having your near death experience. Like, do you remember seeing like you said your leg was dissolving, but were you wearing pants when it was dissolving, or was it just your like you actually see your physical leg without any clothing?
as I recall, I was seeing my physical legs.
Okay, but not
Uh,
the but it's you so you weren't wearing clothes in your memory.
yeah, I don't remember seeing clothes.
Okay, yeah, yeah, that's just a question, just because I'm like thinking, so if your body's on the ground and then you're above, it's like, are you still wearing the same setup? Okay, and then you said you were walking upstairs. That's this physical stairs that were at the location, not some metaphysical stairs.
Right. Yeah,
And
they were physical stairs that were at the location.
okay, and then you said you walked through, and then that's when you saw inside, like you're standing on top of your wife's head. Is that did I hear that correctly?
Yeah, yeah. I had gone. I was walking up the stairs and just went through the wall um, rather than finish walking up the stairs.
Okay, and was it like a fast movement, or is it like is did you get like jolted through the wall, or is it just something where you kind of
No, it was just
oh
a slow. I
okay
just moved. I just slowly moved through the wall.
wow okay, and then the other question is about that bluish light, and you said it was all around you, and you said it was also like you called it the God energy where it made up everything, or can you elaborate that a bit? It's very fascinating.
Yeah, as I looked at as I was looking at this light, I could see the energy coming out of it, and I could actually see the waves. And it reminded me of a sine wave, is this
Mm,
flowing wave like. And and as I'm looking at the waves, I'm seeing how those waves are creating all of the objects and the things that I was seeing and looking at. Um, and so I realized that whatever this energy is, it is the energy that forms everything. And I just thought to myself, this must be the God energy. And
okay. No, that's fascinating. And the other thing is, you said that it was like this God energy was creating different shapes and forms that you're seeing. Was that the vision that you were seeing, or was that the actual physical reality that you kind of seen it like bending and so on? Or was that the images you were seeing?
I'm sorry, could you repeat that?
Well, you because you said the God energy was creating shape to the objects you were seeing. But these objects, were those the physical like reality, like people on the ground and so on, or was it things popping in out of existence in your experience? Like, because you said that you also witnessed your entire history, and how did that appear? Like an actual photo or like a?
It was like there was a series of framed pictures on a wall, and each one, when you looked at it, it would it would suddenly, um, you'd be transported to that moment, and you would actually see it playing. So it was almost
Mm,
like a video vignette, um, of some aspect of your life.
okay, no,
Um,
that's and then yeah, that's fascinating. And then the question I have is, was that because you said there was waves, like the energy had waveform? Was those was that vision of like those photos that you're seeing turning into videos, was that wave-like? Or like I'm just trying to see which is the like what are the objects that you attribute that waviness to? Like like the
I,
actual.
the objects that I was looking at, were the trees and the lake, and the
Okay.
structures that were outside.
Okay, so even let's say when you were is you're saying you were on top of your wife's head. Was that waving? Was that also the same energy where it's waving and so on, or is it?
Yeah,
Okay.
yeah,
Oh, that's what. Okay. So basically, as you're astral projecting it everything seemed like wave-like. Um,
yeah.
and what about your body that you were looking at on the ground? Was that also wave-like? I'm just trying to, or
That when I looked at that, it was stationary and actually just looked
like really? Okay. It
it
looked
just
like.
looked like a dead body.
Okay, so that part there was no waving, and so that's the question basically I had was which parts were the waving ones, and then which one was just the normal reality.
Yeah, that the when I was outside and in the presence of the light was when I really saw the waveforms.
Okay.
I didn't, when I was inside the house, um, the the people who were there around my body and my body, um, that stuff all looked pretty much the way you would expect it to. The waveform stuff really started when I was outside in the presence of the light.
Wow. Okay, that's fascinating. And then there's a question here from Timothy Sullivan. He's asking, what do you think about death, any afterlife, or the persistence of consciousness? So what is your
Um,
thoughts about all that?
I, I truly believe that consciousness is everlasting and is part of our spiritual form.
Hmm.
That is our consciousness. And it is everlasting. The one thing that I was absolutely certain about was that whoever we are, we always are. So our spirits live on and are eternal. And, I truly believe that what we come here for is to learn and to grow. And ultimately, our hope is to become one with the source again. But there's no guarantee that you get to do that. You have to earn it.
Hmm.
And I think that that's what our process is. That's what we come here for.
Mm-hmm. No, that's very deep. And yeah, and then the other question I have is so as you were coming back into your body, and this also pertains to what you think life is, because you said you didn't want to go back to your body, but you felt like you were being like thrown back against your will. So how do
Yeah,
you so then the question is like what do you think of that, like being pulled
I,
back, and what's the reason for that specific?
I was really pissed. I was angry. I did not want to go back. And when you go from absolute amazing feelings of love and peace, and all of a sudden you're in pain, and you've got a burn on your face and a burn on your foot, and you're going, Jesus, this really hurts.
Hmm.
And you don't want to go through that. Um, and I did not want to go back.
Hmm. Yeah, that's yeah, definitely. I would probably think the same too if I experienced that. And then some other questions here. Someone's asking, did you see any entities running around? Because this guy's there are some people that have similar near-death experience, but when they take like psychedelics, and they and sometimes say that they see like little entities. Did you see any like abnormal entities while you were or?
No, I felt somewhat sad as I went through this process and talked to other people who've had near death experiences, and they they talked to relatives or they saw relatives. I didn't get any of that, and I
Mhm.
almost felt cheap. Uh,
Yeah.
but you know, it, um,
Hmm.
I didn't get that. Yeah, I was there by myself.
Okay. And yeah, that's fascinating. And then so I put in actually Grok AI to summarize your history, like your story. And then this one here made a point and I'm not sure if you can confirm if this is real or not. It said that you reported seeing auras around people post near death experience. It described a river of energy during NDE. Yeah, so this is the one where I'm interested. Did you see people's auras after, like, or do you still see them, or can you explain what
Yeah,
that means exactly?
actually, I I see some, and but I can feel almost everyone's. And so, what does it feel like? If you've ever felt an old television screen, there's some static electricity. If you rub your hand near it,
Mm-hmm.
you feel the static on the screen. And the aura feels a lot like that. And I would use this in my work, because if somebody had something wrong and I could move my hand over their body, and if there's an electrical disturbance, it's very noticeable on my hands. And so I could focus on, if somebody has got something wrong with their shoulder, I can use that movement as a way to narrow down what I'm looking at or looking for. So it's it's something that it is very real. And if you could put your hands over mine, you would feel that energy field coming from my hands, and it's an interesting feeling, but it feels like static.
Mm-hmm. And you could do this at pretty much any person. And
Yes.
okay, and you didn't.
Yeah, and some people, some people's aura is very powerful, and I can feel them 4 feet away.
Mm,
Other people, I have to be within inches. So it's very variable, and I don't know what makes the variability, but it's certainly very
mm-hmm.
noticeable.
And there's another question here. Someone's asking, what colors are the auras, or were there any colors, or just feeling?
You know, there were some colors that I saw, um, but most of the time, um, I don't get to see a lot of color in the auras. I know other people, um, specifically, that are able to see the different colors. And I, unfortunately, I only see, I've seen yellow, I've seen white, um, I've seen blue, um, but I don't get to see all of the different variations.
Mm-hmm. And the other question is, have you experienced? Well, I have a question. Have you experienced any someone with like negative aura, something that just feels off, or anything that isn't? Yeah.
I have felt negative energy before, yes.
Mm-hmm.
And that's something that I can feel from a distance. Um, and I think that we all have these abilities. We just don't know how to perfect them and to really pay attention to them. I think animals use this stuff all the time. So my dog can tell if there's something bad outside 100 yards away coming toward the house. Um, and their hair stands up, they bark, they're aware of whatever energy that is, they're aware of it. And I think that we all have that ability, but we've been told that we don't, or we're not supposed
Mm-hmm.
to talk about it. So I think it gets extinguished. But I think that most people can tell from a situation that that they're in, if it's bad or it's not.
Mm-hmm.
So I think there is some quote unquote instinct involved, but
Yeah.
I think that it's more than instinct. I think that we have the ability to sense those things.
Mm-hmm. No, definitely. Another question I was gonna ask is, have you noticed any like big negative energy from any politicians?
I'm
Definitely.
sorry, can you
From any
repeat that?
have you experienced any negative energy from any politicians? Any any big
Oh,
politicians? You know, have
any
you?
politician?
It must be like a mile
I
radius.
try not to pay any attention to that.
Yeah, yeah, you don't get bogged down. And yeah, so I'm really interested in like because like you said, like that this stuff we're all have this ability, and that this is not just some sort of, it's like in only people's minds. I think it's like you actually seeing a base reality, whereas what we're currently in is kind of like, I think we're in the projection. So I think the base reality that you actually experienced, what is the base one, and then that's why you feel all that positive emotions. And then the one we're in right now is, I think, the projection. And the question, basically, I'm interested in the actual physics, and because I think there is some physics behind it, where and possibly that it has been known. Because like, do you think that uh, this whole experience, near death experience, there's an underlying reality that is known about in private circles, but they keep it purposely suppressed? Do you think it's or do you think it's just a collective, like people just ignore?
No, I think that it. there are lots of people that know about it, and I think that to some extent it is suppressed.
Mm-hmm.
That it, I went from, I grew up Catholic,
Mm-hmm.
and always went to church. After my experience, I realized that what the church was teaching was not real, and that there there is a God, there is an afterlife, and it's right here with us. And so I became much more spiritual and much less religious, um, as a result of that experience.
Mm-hmm. Yeah, so right after that experience, right, basically it changed the trajectory of not just music, but pretty much everything else. And the other question I have is, did it affect your work as a surgeon at that time, like, or or your ability to it, or just how you go about work and so on?
The one thing that changed with my work is I became much more aware of people and the whole person, as opposed to just focusing on one particular thing, about them. So I was in my early career, I was very driven to. I wanted to excel in academic orthopedics. I was publishing. I was the head of a big spine meeting that met yearly, and I was going down the road of academia um, and research, and after the lightning, I realized that none of those things were important, and what was important was people and relationships. And so I actually gave up doing all of that other stuff, and just followed followed the intuition that I was being given.
Hmm. So you retired early, or quit, or resigned from your surgeon work?
No, no, I still work.
No, you still go even now?
Yeah,
Oh,
yeah,
okay. Oh, okay.
yeah.
That.
I I I only work about a week a month, but
Hmm.
I still love to do it.
No, that's good. And then now you're doing and now you have the Hawaii shirt, so you have 3 weeks of the month vacation. All right. No, that's fascinating. And then there's another one. So I think it says that I read that you were also involved with a lot of these near-death experience groups. Are you in any of these groups, or the conferences that you attend to? And
Yes,
okay.
the it's the number one that I do is the International Association of Near Death Studies, IANDS. It meets yearly, and I have given numerous talks at it, um, and I even gave a concert at one. I think it was in 2013, um, and when I was a keynote speaker.
Hmm.
Um, but I still
Yeah.
I still go to the meetings, and I still am in touch uh, with many of the people. Okay, I can see by that article it was
Yeah.
in 2012.
It's
Okay.
2012. Yes, 2012. You were a keynote speaker there.
Yep.
It was great. And then so out of this like these near death experience, another one that I was sent by Timothy Sullivan as well. He sent me this one where this person described spiraling down a vortex tunnel through space and time. So have you read up on anything? I'm gonna play this just so you can have a listen and share your thoughts on this. So here is this person. He was gifted. It was riding his bike home and a car hit him, and let's see how his near-death experience.
Really beautiful experience. And then I was going down the tunnel. I did the proverbial tunnel. I know not everybody does the tunnel. I did the tunnel. And the tunnel for me has always had a very special experience because I was shooting through the tunnel. It was like a tube, and it was corkscrewing. It wasn't just spinning stagnant, like around and around. It was spinning in a corkscrew, right? Going closer and closer and closer, right? Like this experience of moving through space, not stuck in space just doing this. It was going someplace.
Okay, someone's saying I have an echo in 1 second. I'm gonna do some. Let's see if this plays better.
And years later, I saw a diagram, an illustration animated illustration of how our Milky Way galaxy is moving through time and space. And it's corkscrewing. The sun is shooting out in front of us, and all the planets, yeah, they're circling, but they're circling in behind it. Like they're going around it, but they're tailing the sun. The sun's like a giant meteor shooting through space, and all the planets are kind of following it as they move through space, right? And it's this corkscrew fashion. And when I saw that, there was something significant to me. I still haven't figured out what it was, but that feeling of recognition, that feeling of, oh, that's right. That feeling was, I don't know how to describe it more than that, but I'm shooting down this tube. I'm corkscrewing through it. It's this beautiful tube of energy with like, it's white, but it's a prism of white. Like when you jump it, if you could imagine thinking about or imagining jumping into a prism, right? You know, those glass, like a little pyramid prism or something like that. And the light hits it and it refracts all the colors. That's the experience of being in this tube and on the other side. So
Okay, yeah, so that's yeah. Have you seen this testimony or other similar ones where they're going in a vortex like like tube?
You know, I've heard people talk about those things, but I've never experienced one. You know, there's lots of people that talk about going down the tunnel and walking toward the light. One of the famous ones was Pam Reynolds, and she had a near-death experience in surgery. She had an aneurysm in her brain, and they were going to take it out. And she left her body and went up to the ceiling, and a tunnel opened, and she started walking down the tunnel, and she was met by relatives who walked with her, and she had one of the most prolific near-death experiences ever recorded, because she was able to very clearly describe all of the instruments that were on the tables for surgery, what it sounded like, and she was even able to relay conversations between surgeons, since there was more than one there. And so, you know, that's a, you know, if you're interested, that's a really great one to read about.
And what was her name again? How do you spell it? I'll see it.
Pamela Reynolds.
Emma Reynolds.
Pam Reynolds, Reynolds.
Near death. Okay, Pam near death experience. Okay. Yeah. This is Pam Reynolds' case. Okay. Under close medical, and you said it was recorded, so she was under close medical monitoring during the entire operation.
Oh yeah, they was incredibly monitored. I mean, they had, you know, in order to do this surgery, they had to stop her heart and make her brain dead. And so they stopped her heart, put her on bypass, and then they had to drain all the blood out of her brain.
Okay.
to be able to do the surgery safely. And they did all of that. And despite being heart dead and brain dead, she had all of this prolific experience and
Hmm.
memory.
Yeah.
And so it brings into question, what is memory? If you're brain dead and the brain is not functioning at all, as verified by monitors, then how in the world do you access information that you would have no way to possibly have accessed?
Hmm.
So it brings up a lot of questions.
No, that's fascinating. And then here's again on Wikipedia, basically the mainstream narrative. You'll see right here. They said that, and they just reference a random anesthetizin. I'm not sure how to pronounce this. Anesthesiologist. Oh, 1 second. Let me see this word.
Anesthesiologist.
Yeah, anesthesiologist who examined the case offered an anesthesia awareness or anesthesia awareness as a more prosaic and conventional explanation. This is the mainstream narrative of you. Basically says that she just was aware, but her body was dead apparently. And yeah, so again,
Yeah,
this is where the cover
it's
up. Yeah, yeah.
yeah. There are a couple of papers that have been written that say that she couldn't have been completely anesthetized, but based on her monitors, um, her brain was completely non-reactive by all the measurements they had. So there was no brainwave activity, and there were these things in her ears that were making loud clicks, so that if the brain was aware of anything, it would respond to these clicks. And there was nothing. So, by the actual measurements that were made, it's pretty clear that she was brain dead and cardiac arrested mechanically. So, at least in my opinion, it's very clear that
Hmm.
what she experienced um, was consciousness that exists outside of our normal reality.
Yeah, yeah, definitely. Just looking at this, the case. And reading between the lines of Wikipedia. Reason I bring up Wikipedia is it's the mainstream narrative. So, but when you read between the lines, you can tell if something's profound. And again, so she literally said that she was walking around and basically astral projecting. So then basically, not only would the mainstream say that she's lying, that's the claim that they would have to do. It's just out of the ordinary. Yeah, basically, yeah. So it looks, this is pretty fascinating. And do you remember what other things that she stated? Because she said that you saw her all the details on the table and so on. But anything else like the white light that you experienced that she did?
Um, as I recall, she was very specific about um, the information that was going on during the surgery. For example, there was the vascular surgeon was there to put in the bypass, and they started on one artery, and the artery wasn't big enough, and he had to have a conversation with the brain surgeon to say that we have to, slow down a minute, we have to switch to the other leg because this artery is not adequate. She was able to relay all of that information. And one of the things that she complained about was at the end of the operation, when the surgeon left for the residents to finish the closure, the residents put on this piece of music um, from it was the Hotel California, And there was a line in this piece of music that she was very upset about. And it was, "You can sign out anytime you like, but you can never leave." And that really represented to her the fact that, you know, she was stuck in this body and she didn't want to be.
Mm-hmm.
So it was, you know, it's a really an instructional case.
Yeah, and she said that her uncle brought her back to her body, but she did not want to go, so he pushed her in, and the sensation was
Yeah,
like that of jumping into ice water. This is
yeah. You know, and that coincided with her heart being started.
mm-hmm.
So he pushed her out of the pushed her out of the tunnel and back into her body at the same instant that her heart was restarted.
Wow. No, this is fascinating. Fascinating stuff here. All right. That's that one. I'm gonna check the notes. There's someone's asking. Methyl Miner is asking. Basically, he sent a link to me about basically how near-death experience. They support the holographic universe theory. I'm not sure if you've heard about this theory. And actually references your site. This site uses affiliate links to Amazon for books for which INDS can earn affiliate. Okay. So yeah, I haven't looked too much at the holographic principle as a single gigantic hologram where everything is connected to everything else inside our minds, including our minds. Including our minds. And basically they have a whole section on near-death experience. And have you looked at the holographic theory? And this one apparently that explains near-death experiences.
I have looked at it, and certainly it's an attractive theory, but I don't have any hard beliefs in it at this point.
Mm-hmm. No, I understand. And I'm gonna quickly go to the notes right here. And yeah, there's another. When I looked up the Grok summary of your life, it also said that in 2004 you survived a serious motorcycle accident. It with no impact, but no impact on your musical passion, and then music became central focus alongside surgical career. Yeah. So, can you describe your motorcycle accident? And it said it was serious. And did you experience any near-death symptoms or experiences at that time as well?
You know, interestingly enough, I did not.
Mm.
I had a bad motorcycle wreck and had a ruptured spleen and punctured lungs and skull fracture. And certainly, I would think that I would have been a candidate for having had another near-death experience, but I didn't. And so I don't know why I didn't, other than the fact that it must not have been very close. But it
Mm-hmm.
it was an interesting experience, none the least.
Yeah, and he said, and it was serious too. So you broke your spleen. You said your back. And how long did it take before you can start walking and working? And
I was out of work for about 3 months
mm-hmm.
after that.
Okay, yeah, yeah. So interestingly, I also got hit by a car too when I was biking. But I almost like flew into the windshield, but I held on to the handlebars. It was like a steel bike, and I actually bent the handlebars instead of getting thrown off. And I punctured my
Wow.
lower back, and it just needed stitches. But I was I didn't yeah, basically I didn't like riding bikes for I was too scared to ride a bike for like a year or two. But it wasn't too bad. It could have been much worse if I didn't hold on. I would have been.
Yeah.
Yeah, so like and it would have been much worse if it was my like fast road bike, because this was one of these old bikes. I just needed to go 5 minutes to the gym, and it was one of those old steel bikes where it can still hold its shape when it hits something. It's not like these. I have a really lightweight aluminum one, like it's like super strong aluminum, but it's still much lighter and weaker than a steel bike. If I was riding one of those, I probably would have thrown inside the windshield. But yeah,
Yeah.
and some other stuff I have is that yeah. So you were in the BBC. They recorded your concert, and then I've noticed that there's a lot of mainstream articles on you as well. Even Vice has this as well. This is in Spanish, I think. Oh, this is Italian. This is Italian. Okay, this is an Italian one. And
Yeah. I've done recordings with a number of other countries where they've come to the house for interviews and for recording me playing, and I've had people from Asia, in the UK, Germany, Spain, South America. I've had an awful lot of coverage from a lot of the places.
yeah, you can. The cool thing with Grok and AI, you can just ask it to summarize all the ones you had. So, or some of them, it will able to catch up some of them. You were also in Canada as well. Canada News also did one apparently.
Yeah.
Yeah. And currently, right now, where are you located right now? I forgot where you're located right now.
Right now, I'm actually visiting my daughter in the state of Washington, and I'm temporarily out here for 3 months, and then
It's pretty.
my normal base is in upstate New York.
Okay, and then someone was asking where did the accident happen? That was in New York. Because this person actually was asking if you knew where your incident did it take part in a ley line? Have you heard of what those ley lines are? Apparently, those are high energetic zones of the Earth. I'm not sure if you ever seen a ley line.
Yes.
Yeah. So was your incident did it occur on the ley line, like or near it? Would you know?
Actually, I don't know that.
Yeah, so I can actually do a quick check right here. So we'll do a quick check as I'm very interested in that because I've heard other claims about ley lines, but this one is a good well, we have the man right here, so we'll see how it goes. So this was lightning near Albany, New York. Do you remember the exact location somehow? Let's see, maps, Google Maps.
Yeah, the exact location was Athens, New York.
Okay.
Right alongside the Sleepy Hollow Lake.
Okay, Sleepy Hollow. It sounds like a one of those serial killer movies. Sleepy Hollow. Okay, so it's right over here. So there's Sleepy Hollow Lake. Where's the lake? Where did it go? Sleepy Hollow Lake. Okay, 1 second. And now, so it's over here. And now I'm going to check a ley line. So basically right there. And then how do I check ley lines? Ley line America. So we're going to do a quick check of ley lines. Ley line in USA. I just want to do a quick yes. So anyways, I don't know too much about ley lines, but so the person in the chat, I'll just send you a link here. This is where the location is, Sleepy Hollow Lake, basically roughly near there. And if you can find out if it's ley lines there, I'll just save it for over here. Yeah, so that is fascinating. And then I'll have a quick look at one of the emails that so the person that's Timothy Sullivan, the one that emailed us to get on the show. Let's go right here. He said, basically, this is the when he emailed you there. He actually discussed a lot of my work on 9/11. I'm not sure if you had a chance to look at them or because he thinks that there could be some intersection between 9/11 and the consciousness and near death experience. Like, have you looked at some of my work on 9/11 or no?
I have not looked at that.
Yeah, because so basically my view is that on 9/11 there was like it wasn't a conventional collapse or an explosive demolition. It was actually like the buildings were actually turned to dust using advanced directed energy technology, like and cold based. I'm not sure if you ever were have ever been made attention to that. 'Cause, to give
No,
you
but
yeah.
certainly something for me to look at.
Yeah, because I can show one thing quickly. This is exterior lobby. So I'm not sure if you have any well the thing with 9/11, you don't actually need any engineering background to know that what occurred is quite remarkable. So like just to give you an example, then we can go to our normal stuff here. So basically this is the sphere right here. This is the Liberty Plaza sphere. Those are the Twin Towers. And then, can you see those exterior lobby columns right here? How there's the open space over here.
Yeah.
Yeah. So this is and then see this lamppost, one of them, and then the buildings were pretty much the biggest office buildings in the world, and they're steel skyscrapers. So look how tiny this is, and this is another view. So there it is, another view. There's another view of it, and you can see that sphere, super tiny. So if these were to fall down, you would expect it to be basically higher than the lobby and collapse over the sphere. Except the rubble pile. This is actually a rubble pile. That's a sphere. That's a lamppost. And that's the exterior lobby column. So all the 110 floors above it is nowhere is basically the bottom is on top of the rubble, and the rubble's gone. So yeah, so this is that's something for later if you're ever interested. And then and basically so Timothy Sullivan, the guy who's emailing, he uses the email Casimir. Basically he wanted me he thinks there's overlaps between elements of near-death experience testimonies and the energy phenomena and consciousness. Because yeah, basically he thinks that there's just possibly one base reality where the people that did 9/11 understand near-death experience, and the unifying thing is the energy set up there. So that's something that's a lot of homework if you're interested in that. But yeah, that is fascinating stuff there. And yeah, so is there anything else you wanted to discuss? I do want to play some more of your music. This was on YouTube, you could check which is the most played portion of the video. So I'm gonna play this part here, and then just to see, just to listen to some music. Yeah. All right. So there's you in 2013, and when is the most recent concert that you've done?
I'm trying to remember. I did a Zoom one earlier this year, and
Okay. And do you have a YouTube channel that we could like do you have uploaded videos to or no?
actually I don't have a YouTube channel. I'm on a lot of YouTube videos.
Mm-hmm. Yeah, no, I do. I have seen that. You are on a lot. You just search up your name, and we could
Yeah,
find.
just
And then
it.
yeah, you're everywhere. You're here. We're here live, and surgeon struck by lightning discovers the god energy. This is
Yeah, there's actually a lot of interviews, and there's one of the things that you just passed is this one is actually
yeah.
a movie that's going to be coming out.
Oh, it's coming out. This is the Every Soul Knows film. Is this the one?
Yeah, this is the one for I've got just a black shirt on.
Yeah, yeah, this one here, because it says here the channel called Every Soul Knows, and it's film. And
Yeah,
so it's
that's
yeah, okay.
that's a movie um, that's going to be coming out.
Okay, no, that's great. Yeah, so and that's coming out. Every Soul Knows, and this is an I think interview or you were on there. Yeah, this interview 5 months ago. Okay, so this is a good film. I'm gonna quickly subscribe to this one here, and just so I get notified when it comes out, because this is quite fascinating. And I want to play this short video. I haven't seen this, but I will listen to this. I was struck by lightning in a phone booth, and this untethered consciousness. Okay, so there's yeah, you're you're everywhere. You're everywhere. I'm gonna play this quickly just to see how it is.
So I see the big flash of light come out of the phone, hits me in the face, and throws me back like a rag doll. And I remember standing there thinking, how is this possible? I know I got hit. I saw it. And I knew I'd been thrown back like a rag doll. And here I am standing, and I'm looking around. I look at the phone, and the phone is just dangling. And at that point, I hear my mother-in-law screaming, and I'm down at the bottom of the stairs, and everybody else is up on the first floor. And I hear her screaming, and all of a sudden she's running down the stairs right at me. And I'm thinking, it's not good when your mother-in-law is screaming and running at you. And as she got down in front of me, I could tell that she couldn't see me because she was looking off to her left. And as she got to the bottom of the stairs, it was like I wasn't even there. And I thought, what the hell is going on?
Right. It's pretty good. And it matches what you just told us now. Yep. Yeah, so for those in the audience, definitely there's a whole infinite amount of videos here. And I think one thing, if you are interested in making a YouTube channel, because YouTube has an automatic topic thingy, so you actually have 1.6 thousand subscribers on a topic, which is your name. So you can actually, and let's see, this is a full album too. And this has all your music on it as well. I'm not sure who, somebody actually made it maybe. Yeah, I'm not sure what these are, but so I think it automatically put a lot of your music. So this one is your music, I think.
Yep.
And going back to the music, can you, because you said it's you have an insatiable desire for it, but can you like actually see the tones, or is there any like physical sensation of the musical notes and stuff that you are you able to grasp that? Because one person I know, John Hutchison, he actually sees like electromagnetic frequencies. Like he can actually like sense them when he does his he does some he's like an experimental scientist. He actually can like see them, so he tries to tune a bunch of different frequencies on like with his intuition.
Yeah, the music that I get comes in finished form. So it's a lot like the way Mozart would describe it. And he would say that, he gets the music from wherever the music comes from, and it comes in a finished form, and all he has to do is write it down. And to a large extent, that's the way this has been. And the music comes. The first piece came in a dream, but I've had other pieces that come to me, and almost like a computer download, and it just boom. It comes in, and then it's a mad scramble to write it down.
And it's still occurring now? Like that still happens to you now, where you just get a bunch of like downloads to your brain about music?
Yeah, it still continues.
Okay, that's fascinating. And then so then you would listen to it and then play it and write it like do you still use that automated machine, or is it all do you do manual, or how do you what about like do you still use that automated method?
Oh, I do both. I still use the automated when if I'm pressed for time. Otherwise, I do it out longhand.
Mm-hmm. Okay. And then that automated one, I just want to quickly just do a search. What is that? The one you use? It's like, what is it called? The automated. I've never heard about that before.
Called Sibelius.
Sibelius.
Yep.
Automated music writing. Oh, Sibelius notation software. Okay, and then you would play it, then
Yep.
it automatically. Does it use AI or is this and
No, it was not an AI version.
okay, this was and then you were doing this like this has been around since like the 90s or is it a new thing?
It was available for me when I started writing it, and it was already well known at that point. So I'm not entirely sure when it was started, but
Mhm.
it's been around for a while.
Yeah, that is fascinating. So you would actually play music and then it will automatically write it for you. And and then you would obviously adjust it and correct it, I would assume, and so on. That's that's
Yep.
great. No, that is great stuff there. And when do you have another concert? Because you said you had one through Zoom or
I have done, the last couple have been through Zooms, and I'm not sure. I'd have to look at my my long-term calendar. I don't have anything off the top of my head coming up.
Mhm. Yeah, definitely, because I could share the link and that'd be something to check out. And and again the other part because you said that it's pretty much ingrained into your head that experience. Like how is that in your daily life? Like do you always think about that experience? Is one thing like you're always trying to teleport back to the astral plane? Is that?
I'm always aware of that experience.
Mm-hmm.
There's always something in every day that that makes me remember.
Well, yeah, and yeah, definitely, I would definitely feel that that would be the case. Is what's interesting. So you're in Washington State right now at your visiting your daughter, uh,
Yeah, I'm in Arlington.
Arlington. Okay, because I live in basically near Vancouver, Canada, but Washington we're pretty much neighbors. So Arlington. Let's see where Arlington is. I just want to see how far away it is. Arlington, Washington. Okay. Yeah, so we're actually surprisingly close by. So this is our. I'm gonna go directions. I'll put it from my house. How long it would take to drive? And it's actually it's only an hour and 45-minute drive. It's not even 2 hours. But it's got to go through the border, and then I've heard some horror stories now with the tariffs just going over the border. But yeah, so we're actually pretty close. We're neighbors right now because it's
Yeah,
yeah, but just going through the border is just painful. If I'm near there for 3 months.
I'm here for 3 months. Yeah,
Okay, well, if I'm anywhere near there within, then I might give you a ring and then maybe listen to some piano. Yeah,
sure.
yeah, and piano like yeah, music. I've only done so like I don't have any music background besides in elementary school like in grade 7 the people that didn't go like didn't have like weren't part of whatever band class they get into this remedial little room. So anyone that didn't like their parents didn't sign them up for band go there. So then I was part of that group of like 7 people or 7 to 10 people, and I would learn the clarinet or not the clarinet like one of those the flute or something and the guitar, but it was pretty bad. The teacher's like telling me please never play another instrument ever again. Yeah. That's my musical background. And then you said that you were taught music. I think at age 7 for 1 year. You did piano lessons but you hated it. And
Yeah, that's correct.
But do you think that lightning strike somehow, because you had the piano lessons, it somehow like rewired how you viewed reality? Like it just back to
Um,
that memory?
you know, that's a good question. Oliver Sacks, you know, we went, we talked about this a lot, and he really believed that the lightning had rewired my brain and gave me access to areas that I would not have had otherwise.
Mm-hmm.
So, and that calls into question a lot of science, and what how does the brain really work?
Mm-hmm.
And
Yeah.
I think that we don't really have a very good understanding of the brain at all.
No, definitely. I'm on that with you. The other one question is, so yeah, so because you had the piano lessons early on, but you hated it because whenever there's like a strong emotional attachment, either dislike or like on something, it could have some sort of underlying like subconscious like kind of like a totem pole there. It's like a beacon telling you this is something to focus on. So why did you hate piano when you were 7 years old, instead of just not?
Because I wanted to go fishing, and I wanted to play baseball,
Mm.
and I wanted to do a lot of other things, and piano was just in the way.
Okay, okay. So that's but then when you were playing it, like, were you good at it in any way, or just get along?
You know, I don't think that I was not an exceptional student, and I don't recall being told that I was gifted.
Mm-hmm. Okay. Yeah. That I get. Yeah. So somehow I think the lightning strike, because you had pianos, like out of all the instruments in the world, it had to be the piano.
Yeah.
Yeah. So I think, yeah, definitely something brought up well, in my opinion, brought that up. And then this is the sax. So he actually, yeah, died in 2015.
Yeah.
And any key findings that he came up with, because he's basically was investigating and not just yours. I think you said he investigates other types here. So you said he wrote a book, Musicphilia. Is this detailing other people similar to yours or your story, or?
Yes, it actually details a number of people. I'm just one of the ones. Um, I was chapter 1
Mm-hmm.
in the book, and but there are multiple other patients.
Mm-hmm. Yeah, yeah. So, but it's all similar aspects where they just started playing or yeah, some sort of paranormal or just extraordinary circumstances. That's fascinating. And then I had another one. Questions. Have you are you aware of a person by the name Rupert Sheldrake, who did something called who studied, yeah, the dog's barking. It's all right. So Rupert Sheldrake, he hypothesizes basically what he calls morphic resonance, where it's like your brain is like an antenna to information all around. Where, like, for example, and in there'd be like collections of this morphic resonance or like consciousness, where let's say animals, a specific type of animal, as they're born, they can get this collective consciousness even with no learned experience, like where to go for like eating food or mating or whatnot. They just know exactly where to go without ever being taught or how to do specific stuff like that. And basically, and that also helps to well, he theorizes that explains how people can have psychic abilities, or even with animals. Let's say one study that they were doing was so you would have a camera, and then when a person, let's say you have a dog at home, have a camera at home, the first thought that you have to go home, see if the dog goes to the window, even though you're separated from a great distance. So basically, the findings are claimed to be where, let's say the dog more times than chance, they'll know when the owner is going back home. Or another one will be like flip a coin, or and then you have to guess a number someone rolls on the phone, and do this with 1,000 people. If you're and you can, it's a higher percent probability of guessing than random. Yeah, that's this is morphic resonance. Rupert Sheldrake. It just brings like that's kind of thoughts I get. Yeah, Sheldrake, morphic resonance, morphic fields. This is one thing if you're interested in possibly seeing how it connects with your experience. And yeah, this is his website right here on it. It's pretty fascinating.
Yeah, that's a topic that has gathered a lot of interest over the years.
Mm-hmm. Yeah, and then one last thing I want to say is, as you said, that you think there's some sort of suppression, like at least some kind of suppression of this knowledge. Because again, in my opinion, it's knowledge. You're suppressing knowledge. When people suppress it, that's whatever it is. That's not good. But so similar how you got struck by lightning. A lot of the movie, like superheroes movies, they get their powers after getting struck by lightning. So do you think that's just a coincidence, or or is it a little Easter egg?
Hard to say.
So yeah, so basically, like, do you feel like you got extra powers, or just after the like, can you fly now? And
You know, I certainly feel that I've gotten special abilities that I didn't have before.
mhm.
No question about that.
Yeah, and definitely. And there's another question that someone asked earlier. Are you aware of the Monroe Institute? This
Yes.
is, yeah, Robert Monroe. So I was actually sent. Yeah, so
I've read his books, and actually, I did take a course at the institute.
oh, you did. Did you
Yep.
take? And have you ever checked out the Gateway experience? Like, have you tried that? The Gateway
Sorry.
program? Have you
I'm
tried the Monroe Institute, the Gateway experience? Have you tried that, or you heard about it?
the Gateway one.
The Gateway experience, basically, they give like these auto tones, like audio tones in your head, and then it
No,
gives
I-
you a series of exercises, and the whole idea is to train to be able to astral project. So someone actually sent me DVDs of those, but just online. I tried to do that, but I didn't have any luck astral projecting. So
Yeah, I'm not familiar with the Gateway experience. I'll
Yeah.
have to read that.
yeah, this is on the Monroe Institute, and it's what they use is like this hemi-sync technology or whatnot, where they sync two different tones in your mind. So then the left part of your brain and the right one are like, they try to sync it somehow, and then you're supposed to listen to the exercises and then try to with the goal to project your body out of your basically project your soul out of your body and then walk around. So
Yeah.
that's, yeah. And so because you've already experienced it, you already know what it is. That's something if you wanna, again, I was on monroeinstitute.org. You can pay for this one, or I can just send you the, if you are interested, send me an email and I can send you the full, like a link to download all them for free. If you're
Okay.
yeah, if you're interested in that. And because like I try to do it, I that's one thing with me. I have like a super hard head. It's like it just nothing goes up. Like I try, like I'm open-minded. I'm trying to do this. I want to actually also project. That's one thing I wanna always do, but I don't know what's holding me back. Because apparently you can actually train yourself to do what you were doing, and like travel across. That's what these people are doing. And
Yeah, it's not easy.
yeah, so I just need a lightning, high voltage lightning strike. So I'm gonna go lightning strike movie superhero. Yeah, so that's one thing I always thought. They always get struck by lightning, or they get radiation poisoning and whatnot, and they just become super powerful. I think the Flash was struck by lightning. Yeah, there's a bunch of movies here. Apparently, even The Rock's in a movie. Oh, this Black Adam. Anyways, that's getting off topic there. But yeah, and is there any other tidbits or information about because you did the keynote speaking at that. Sorry, because you were at the keynote speaker at the conference and other stuff like that. Is there any insights you've gathered from there, and like how big is the movement as well, and what do you expect in the future?
I expect that as time goes on, more and more people will become aware
Mm-hmm.
of near death and what it means. I know they're starting to teach it in medical schools, and I took part in a teaching video that's that's being shown to medical students across the country, that for doctors to be aware that their patients are experiencing these things, and they need to be able to be quiet.
Mm-hmm.
They need to be able to understand what they're feeling and realize that there are other things out there that science does not have an explanation for.
Mm-hmm. Yeah, definitely. I see this here, University of Virginia, Division of Perceptual Studies Near-Death Experience. So they do include this. They are including this in their at least in their official website. Yeah, this is fascinating. And the variety, like what's your thoughts on why there's so much variety in these near-death experience? The guy's going through a tunnel, you're going through blue light, and learning piano. Yeah.
I think those are all things that are lots of people seem to have, and not everyone gets the same experience, but there's a list of things that seem to come with it, but not everyone has exactly the same experience.
Mm-hmm. Yeah, definitely. I do think it's like yeah, each person's already previous experience. I think that helps shape what they see, and that's where it gets to where I kind of think it's like a projection. Well, like we're we're in a projection, so when you see the base reality, you're how you perceived reality before, I think might affect it as well. And yeah, so
Very possible.
yeah, and that's why I think the piano part, because you had a piano course, and it's like the lightning amplified that, and you had a strong feeling to piano. Yeah, I'm just doing some psycho analyzing. No, that's great. And I'm gonna definitely read up more on this Pam Reynolds case, where it seems pretty clear cut. She's clinically dead, and she's literally floating around. No, it's
Yeah.
mm-hmm. But no, it's good. And yeah, your dog is well, that's your daughter's dog. I think is that your dog or your daughter's
Yeah,
dog?
my daughter's dog.
Yeah,
He's
definitely. Is he barking? Does he want to go for a run or what's he?
No, he's barking because somebody's outside.
Okay, yeah. So my neighbor actually, so he has a bunch of dogs that they bark a lot as well. But recently, I think, like he's an old guy. He had a pacemaker. And he had some cardiac issues, so he was in the hospital for like 3-4 days. So that their dogs are just like quiet now on the window. So usually they're barking all the time, but now I think they miss they miss them. So that's interesting. But yeah, is there anything else you wanted to discuss?
No, I think we covered it.
Yeah, definitely. And yeah, there's a dog. No, yeah, I think we've covered anything. It's all good. I'll ask the audience if they have any questions. Yeah, audience, do you have any other questions for Tony? You have any other questions? Yeah, so I'll ask them if there are any other questions. But yeah, it was great having you on the show. Again, so like like this experience is something like every university should be taking seriously, like because it's first of all it's about what reality truly is, but also it's an extraordinary event. It's kind of like I think there should be more studies in, for example, the placebo effect. Like the placebo effect is an extraordinary ability to like basically cure yourself. Yet that is barely talked about, in my opinion, on the mainstream science curriculum. So if it was up to me, I would have entire course or entire like division, similar how there's like different types of engineering, like civil engineering, there's electronic engineering, computer engineering, specifically dedicated to near-death experience and other stuff like that. But yeah, I think there's no other questions. Okay, someone's asking, did he experience other abilities like speaking other languages or lack of taste? Did you basically? That's another question that they're asking you. Did you experience anything else like other languages, lack of taste, or? But you had you had the memory loss, you said, for a few
All
days.
done.
Yeah, but you said you had memory loss. That's one thing. And that was for a week.
I'm
You said.
sorry.
Yes, you had memory loss, but you didn't experience any other abilities like speaking languages, lack of taste.
No.
Okay. Yeah, and but yeah, so I think that's pretty much it then. Any closing thoughts? It was great having you on the show. I learned a lot. This is fascinating stuff, and
Great. Thank you for having me.
yeah, for sure. And I'll stop sharing my screen. And so have a good one then. And yeah, you're welcome anytime. And if I'm near Washington, I'll come. I'll give you a ring. See your dog.
Sounds good.
Yeah. All right. Sounds good. Have a good one then.
Take care.
All right. See you, Tony. Bye.
Bye-bye.
Yeah, bye. All right, guys. Yeah, epic stream there, and yeah, so that's Dr. Tony Cicoria. All right, guys. Anyways, that's all for today, guys. Can you play a mean piece? Can you play a mean piano then? Yeah, definitely. All right, guys. Thanks for joining, guys. And have a great weekend. Great. It's a long weekend too. All right, any stream in 3.